everybody. Welcome back. Today we're starting Unit 13. We're talking about probability and graphs today. Before we start, I want you to think about the word probability. When I say the word probability, what word comes to mind for you? For me, it's the word probably, and that's because probability and the word probably mean about the same thing. Probably means I'm probably going to do something or I'm probably not going to do something. And probability is the same thing. It's the chance that something might happen. So today we're talking about probability. I want you to kind of clap that out with me. Probability. Probability. Good. Probability is the chance of something happening. So for example, there is like a 50% chance that it will rain today. So that means that there's a half chance that it could rain or it could not today. So probability are the chances of something happening. Probability is typically written in a fraction form. We have this example down here with all of these circles, and I am focusing on the pink circles. My question says, what are the chances of me pulling a pink circle out of the circles below? In order for us to find the chances of this, we're going to first count the pink circles. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 pink circles. 4 is going to be my top number, which is my numerator in my fraction. And then I want to find out of how many circles altogether are there 4 pink circles. So the bottom number is our total of all the circles, including the pink ones. So we're going to count all of them now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 4 out of 11 of the circles are pink. So with probability, your top number is going to be whatever thing you're focusing on in the question. So this said pink circles. So I counted the pink circles. There were 4 of them. The bottom number is the total. So all of the circles combined, or all of the shapes, or whatever you are comparing. So it's all of them combined. There are 11 here combined, including the pink ones. So 4 out of 11 of them are pink. So there's a 4 out of 11 chance that if I reached down into a bag and pulled out a circle, I would pull out a pink one. 4 out of 11 is not a very good odd. It's not a very good probability. So it's pretty unlikely that I'm going to do that, but it is possible. It's not impossible because that certainly could still happen. Next, we have this same example, but the question changed. The question now says, what are the chances of me pulling a square out of the circles below? As you look at this group of circles, you can see clearly there are no squares. So our probability of pulling a square out is 0 out of 11 because there are no squares. It's impossible for me to pull a square out of this bag of circles because there are no squares. So if it is 0 out of 11, that means it's impossible. It cannot happen. Which brings me to our choices. Okay, our word choices for probability. The first word is impossible. That means there's a 0% chance of it happening, okay? Unlikely means that there's less than a 50% chance of something happening. That was our first example with the pink circles. That was unlikely. Equally likely means that there's a 50-50 chance. This is like flipping a coin. It's either going to go heads or tails. There's only 2 ways it could go. So it's a half and half chance there. Likely means that there's more than a 50% chance of it happening, meaning it's probably going to happen, but it might not. And then certain is a 100% chance of it happening. So here the 2 extremes are impossible and certain. Rarely in life are things impossible and certain. And we'll talk more about that in a second. So let's talk about our first word, which is impossible. Impossible outcome. So if you look at the example up here, it has a bag of marbles. It's impossible to pick a red marble out of this bag because there are no red marbles in it. An unlikely outcome would be getting a 1 on the first throw of a dice. It's unlikely because there's a 1 out of 6 chance. There's 6 sides of a dice, so you only have 1 out of 6 chances of rolling a 1. Could it happen? Yeah. Is it impossible? No. It's just unlikely. Equally likely is a coin because you're flipping heads and tails. It's literally going to be either one or another. So with 50% chance, that's equally likely because it's like a half chance of something happening or a half chance of it not happening. Over here, we have most likely. That means that the pointer stopping in the pink is most likely because the pink is the bigger section. So it's pretty likely that you're going to get pink if you roll the spinner. And then finally, a certain outcome would be picking out an orange marble from this bag because there's only orange marbles in there. So if I had asked you, what are the chances of you pulling out a circle out of the circle bag? It would have been 11 out of 11 because they were all circles. So that's 100% chance that would be for certain. So our first word is impossible. Impossible means that it will never, ever happen. For an example, it's impossible that a purple dragon is going to fly down from the sky and eat you. That's not going to happen. It's impossible. That is not real and it's fake. So that is 100% not going to happen. So it's a 0% chance of it really ever happening. So that means it's impossible. Our math example is that there is a 0 out of 6 chance that you could roll a 38 on a regular dice. On a dice, there are 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's no 38. So I could not roll a 38 on a dice roll. So that is impossible. Our next word is unlikely. Unlikely means it will probably not happen, but there is a slight chance that it could. So an example is it is unlikely that you'll find $20 on the ground, but it's not impossible. You could find $20 on the ground. It's just very unlikely. So these are situations where it's probably not going to happen, but there is a slight chance that it could. Math example is there is a 1 in 6 chance that you could roll a 3 on the dice. So if I rolled the dice one time, there's a 1 out of 6 chance that I could roll a 3 because there's 1 3 on the 6-sided dice. So that's where I'm getting 1 out of 6 chances. So the chances of me rolling a 3 are not great, but it could happen. It's unlikely, though, because it's probably going to land on a 1, 2, 4, 5, or 6 because those are 5 other choices. And I'm only picking one choice out of that. Next, we have equally likely. Equally likely means that there is a 50% chance that something could happen. That means that it is either going to be one or the other. Our example we've already used is a coin. So if I flipped a coin, there's a 50-50 chance it could land on heads or tails. Those are the only 2 options. For a math example, there is a 3 out of 6 chance that you could roll an even number on a regular dice. So on a dice, we have 6 numbers, and we have the numbers 2, 4, and 6, which are all even numbers. So I have 3 even numbers. So 3 out of the 6 chances of me rolling a dice. So it's a 50-50 chance there because 3 out of 6 is half. 3 is half of 6. So the chances of me rolling an even number, I could roll either a 2, 4, or 6, and those would all be even, is equally likely because it is a 50-50 chance. It's also a 50-50 chance that I could roll an odd number because there are 3 odd numbers on the dice as well, 1, 3, and 5. So that is a 50-50 equally likely chance there. Likely means that it's probably going to happen, but it's not a promise. It's not for certain, okay? So it's likely that it's going to snow in the wintertime, but it's not certain. Our math example is that there is a 4 out of 6 chance that you could roll a 2, 3, 4, or 5 on the regular dice. So if I wanted to see if I could roll a 2, 3, 4, or 5, that's 4 possible numbers that I could roll. So I have a 4 out of 6 chance of landing on one of those numbers. It's likely that I could roll a 2, 3, 4, or 5 on the dice. Now, it would be unlikely that I could roll a 1 or a 6 out of those options, but it's likely that I might roll a 2, 3, 4, or 5. For certain means that it's 100% going to happen. It is certain that you have to drink water to stay alive. That is a fact. If you don't drink water, you're not going to live very long. Our math example is that there is a 6 out of 6 chance that you could roll a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 on the dice. So if I said, what are the chances of you rolling a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 on the dice? That's a 100% chance you're going to roll one of those numbers. So that is a 6 out of 6 chance for certain that's going to happen. So let's play a game. It's called What Are the Odds? What is the probability that Bigfoot is going to come to your house for dinner? You're going to choose impossible, unlikely, equally likely, likely, or certain. They go in order from impossible down to certain. So what do you think the probability is that Bigfoot is going to come to your house for dinner? I'll give you a minute to answer. If you said impossible, you are correct. Bigfoot does not exist, contrary to some people that believe that he does. It's impossible that Bigfoot's going to come to your house for dinner. That is just not going to happen. All right, what is the probability that the sun is going to set tonight and it will become dark outside? Is it impossible, unlikely, equally likely, likely, or certain? If you said certain, you are correct. The sun is going to set tonight and it's going to become night. That is a certain fact that is going to happen, okay? Next, we have what is the probability of randomly choosing the letter S out of a bag with all the letters in the alphabet in it? So if I have all of these letters in the alphabet in a bag, what are the chances I'm going to pull out the letter S? Letter S is right there. It's the pink one with the green dots. What's the chances of me pulling that one letter out? If you said unlikely, you are correct. It's unlikely that it's going to happen. It's not impossible, though, but it's probably not because it's only 1 out of 26 letters. So it's very unlikely that I'm going to pull out the S, but I could get lucky and pull it out. So it's unlikely, not impossible. All right, looking at the weather chart below, what is the probability that will snow on Saturday? Saturday is right here, and it says the probability of it snowing. So what's the probability that's going to snow on Saturday? There's a 90% chance of snow. So that means that it's likely going to snow, but it's not 100%. It could not snow. It could be a rare thing where it just doesn't snow, and that is why it's not certain. Usually weather is not 100% anyway. It can always change. So this is it's likely going to snow on Saturday because there's a 90% chance of it, but it's not 100% certain. Okay, what is the probability that the answer below will be true or false? We have two options. It's either going to be true or false, meaning that there's two outcomes, okay? It's equally likely. It's either going to be true or false, okay? One or the other, so it's equally likely there. What is the probability that the spinner will land on yellow? This is our yellow section. This is the whole thing. So what are the chances that it's going to land on yellow? What do you think? If you said unlikely, you are correct. It's unlikely. It's not impossible because there is a yellow section, but it's unlikely that it's going to land on yellow. It's probably going to land on blue because that has the biggest section. All right, what is the probability that the grass will start to grow neon glow-in-the-dark pink out of the ground? What do you think? Impossible, for sure. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. All right, what is the probability that the spinner will land on a blue section below? Look at this. These are our 4 different choices where the spinner could land. What are the chances that's going to land on blue? If you said certain, you are correct because that's our only choices is blue. So it's going to land on a blue section. So it's 100% certain going to happen. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask. And I hope this video helped explain probability. Thanks. Bye.